Hey guys, and welcome to this Python basic session. And today I want to take a look at splitting and joining strings. So these are two methods with the string class. So you've got string.split and string.join. I'm doing this by request, so of course if you have any requests of things you want to see, feel free to ping us a comment somewhere. I can get around to doing that video. There's a fair queue at the moment, but I do try and get around to all of them in due time. So this video is going to be done in two parts. I'm going to take a look at the splitting side of things first, which is relatively straightforward, and then we'll take a look at join, which I think is what people find probably more confusing of the two. As I said, this is a basics video, so this is aimed really at people who are just starting out in Python. But yeah, let's take a look. So the job of string.split is to, effectively as it sounds, take a string. So if you had some words like this, so we had hello, not really a word, but you get the idea, hello, 1, 2, 3, ABC. The job of split is to basically take, let's zoom in a bit, is to basically take a string like this and say, split it apart by something. Now by default, the thing we split apart by, so in this case here, you say you wanted to split by this white space, that's called our delimiter. And in Python, the delimiter defaults to a white space. So if you just said string.split of this, it would return a list containing 1, 2, 3 different items. So let's take a look at that then, shall we? So let's do word is equal to this. And then what we can do is to show you really quickly where it comes from. I'm going to run dir of word. And this will reveal all of the attributes of methods that belong to this class. Of course, this is an instance of the string class, so we should expect to see... And there we go, there's split, and you can probably see, we can find it here, it's quite a big one, this, isn't it? There's join as well. And whilst I'm showing split, I'm also going to show you rsplit or right split as well, right at the end. So, yeah, let's just take a look and see what this does. So if I did split word is equal to word.split. Open up these here, and in VS Code it quite nicely shows what's going to happen. So we can see we've got this sep argument here. Sep is basically your separator or your delimiter. And we can see it's got like none equals none here. So it's saying by default there isn't a delimiter, it's just white space. And we can see here, yeah, we'll split at any white space character, including new lines, etc., tab spaces, and discards empty strings from the result. We can also pass in a max split as well. So by default, because we've got 3 words all separated by a white space here, it's going to give us a list of those 3 separate items. But you might just want, say, like this one by itself, and then these two can be in their own thing. And yeah, that's what max split does. So if we go ahead and print off split word, let's take a look. It's quite nice doing it with a small string to kind of get the gist of what's going on, to be honest. There we go, there's our list here. So we can do split word, and let's pass that into the type function as well. And then tell you what, let's also pass in, let's now do type here of word here. There. So we're saying, what's the type of the thing that's been returned to me? In this case, it's going to be a list. And this is just to show what that original type was. So it should be a string. So there's our result. That result is of the class list, and there's our original type, which was a string. One thing to note as well is that because strings are immutable, meaning they can't be changed, this returns a whole new entity to you. It doesn't modify this in any way, which is pretty good. I mean, to be honest, that's the same for all the string methods. You can redefine a string, you can't mutate a string. Now then, let's beef this out a bit, and let's add a few more little things in. Let's do... First thing that came to mind, to be honest. So if I do this with effectively no additional inputs, there we go, we get all of this here. Now what if, say for example, we weren't split like this, we're split like this. So if I hit run now, because there's no white space between these anymore, there's only white space here and here, this now means this is one entity, this is the second entity, and there's your fed. So we can see in here we've got 3 separate things. You know, we could even pass that into len of split word. So you should see the split word, and then, yeah, there's 3 at the end there. Of course, you know, if you had this as well, and you had this, there's no longer any white space to split by, so it's going to just contain one giant string. However, now what we can do, you can either pass in sep like this, or to be honest, you can just pass it in like that. So if I did this instead here, this is now telling the split method to say, don't split by white space how you normally do. I want you to behave differently, and instead I want you to split whenever you see this. And recall that when you call split normally, it splits by white space and gets rid of the white space. So it will do the same here. It will split by these and get rid of these. So basically picture all of these being gone in our finished result and see what we get. There we go, we got 5 things, and yeah, they're all good to go. Let's also bring in the max split as well. Max split is equal to, and let's do 3. Okay, so now our length has gone from 5 down to 4. So check out what it's done. It's done our first one, our second one, our third one, and that's it. Because we've said this is your max things to split by, it's gone, yeah, I'll take this, I'll take this, I'll take this. Yeah, you can sack off the rest, you can put them somewhere else. So yeah, that's why those are being kept here. You could do a max split of 2, of course, that, as you expect, will only take hello, 1, 2, 3. The rest has now been passed to here. So basically just kind of choose what you want to do with this, really. One thing you can do with this, and this is quite an interesting way of doing things, sometimes, I've seen this a few times in practice, you want to split stuff and grab like the rightmost character. So imagine you said, we want to split this, and if I did -1 here, quickly grab this. So envision like what this would do. This is going to return a list containing dun 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 dun, and this -1 is going to say, now give me the last item from that list. So Liverpool. So if we hit run, we should see Liverpool. However, this is quite inefficient because what split does, it kind of goes from the left-hand side and kind of organizes it from the left going down to the right. So if you want to split a string apart and just grab like the last one or last 2 items, we're basically counting on it going through the whole thing and, you know, getting to the end and then we've got it. So it seems a bit wasteful, and that's where our split comes in. So all our split does really just goes from the right, as you'd imagine, right split. So let me clear the screen just for a second. I'll get this cleaned up and I'll just show you the kind of subtle difference between normal split and right split. So I've just got a simple setup. So we're doing our normal split as earlier, and I've then got a new variable right, which contains word.rightsplit. Now, if you just run this normally, there's like basically no difference. But what can happen is, if I now do max split is equal to 2, and then check this out, if we then put it down here as well, max split is equal to 2, it now behaves a bit differently. So let's check out the regular one first. So our normal split, let's get this a bit more spaced out for you here. So our normal one here went from the left, 1, 2, keep the rest. So for this one here, we did hello, 1, 2, 3, keep the rest, right? Now on the other side, it's done something a bit different. With the right split, it goes through the string backwards. So it said 1, 2, and then shelve the rest. That's why our right split does, yeah, it does that. Look, see how these two are off by themselves, and then this is off here. So get it? It's not something you're going to be using every day, but it gives you a more efficient way to take things from the right-hand side if you need to then go ahead and split something. So then you could just do right, -1 like that. So I want to show you one more example, which I think is a bit nicer, and it uses sequence unpacking, which is a lot of fun. So suppose we had a URL, and this contains this bit, and let's just do google.com here. Now we've got the dots. Now what if you wanted to separate this URL into its component parts? Now you could just do, let's see here, you could just do split, let's see, URL is equal to URL.split. Of course, our delimiter has to be chosen carefully. It's going to be the dot, and that would be absolutely fine. So if I did print split URL, we should see this work with no issues. Now, what if you wanted to split this into its individual variables? So this could be like your prefix, this could be your site name, this could be your suffix here. You could then like access different parts of this list. You could do like A is equal to split URL of index 0, or here's a nice way of doing it, assuming that this always contains 3 characters. You could do this. You could do prefix, site, suffix is equal to the same thing, URL.split. Let's put this guy down here. Sorry, a bit of code butchery. And that should be fine. Again, this is, I mean, I wouldn't use this if you didn't know how many things this contained. So no, just be careful. In this case, if we assume that this always contains 3 things that are going to be returned, then yeah, we should be good. So in this case, we're using split to say, split the string apart into 3 different bits. We've put this in to say, here's how you're going to split it by its dots. So we return item 0, item 1, item 2, And because we're returning 3 separate things, we can unpack those into 1, 2, 3 different variables. Suppose in some horrible situation, you had something like this, right? Then what we could do, run it, check that it gives us an error. So in this case, yeah, there's too many things to unpack. You can actually do this kind of cool thing. So you can actually do, let's just say, the rest. There we go. And now what happens this time is the rest of the stuff is passed as a list to here. So this kind of means like unpack all of those things, in this case, like here forward, and just put them in here. So if we do this, hopefully that's readable. That's meant to say the rest, not the rest like that. But yeah, I suppose you get the idea. And yeah, that's a nice way of doing it. But again, I would really stress this. Only do like this kind of thing if you're 100% sure how many things are going to come out the other side, for example. If this is done by user input or there's any kind of variability, try and do this a smarter way. You could do a try and accept, and that'll be a bit nicer. Anyhow, let's move on to join, which is the second part of our session. So just before moving on to the next section, I really want to quickly show you my course, just because there's been a couple of messages about how do I learn Python from scratch. So this is a course I put together around a year ago. It's had, as of this day of recording, nearly 900 people, which has been pretty cool. And it's had really good reviews so far. It's had 4.9, which I'm really happy with. It's something I put a lot of time into making and crafting, kind of using my knowledge of lecturing and teaching over these many years. So it starts completely from scratch, so just installing Python and VS Code. I would then go into the kind of basics, things like data types, collection types, control flow, your if, elif, else statements, how to do things like loops, so your for and your while loops, built-in functions, user-defined functions, error handling, file handling, all that stuff. We end off with a couple of smaller projects and then 2 big projects. And I also have a question. So every month I update the course of a brand new question. So it's kind of, once you've bought it, it's currently on sale right now, which is pretty good. And once you've bought it, you get a free question every single month. So yeah, I'll leave this link in the description. I do a second course, which is on the more functional programming as well. That link is also there as well. But anyway, let's get back to the video. So for the second half of the video, we're going to take a look at string.join. And this is one that I think it looks a bit trickier to begin with because it's not as obvious what is happening. But let's just start with the kind of high-level picture. So what join is doing, it's saying take items of an iterable and join them together. So imagine you've got a list of things like this. We've got a list containing 3 strings, banana, cheese, and ham, some food that probably doesn't go together super well. And it's going to take these and join them together. But join them with what? That's the question. So suppose, for example, I don't know, let's just do some str is equal to some dashes like that, right? And so what we can do, if we said take this and then do dot join. So if we said some string dot join of this, what's basically going to do is going to say join this and this and this and put this in the middle, right? So let's now do result is equal to some string dot join, and we can see here it wants an iterable, so concatenate any number of strings, and that's not particularly useful docstring really, is it? I suppose, but yeah, foods, let's put foods in here, and we can then go ahead and underneath we'll go ahead and print off result. Right, let's hit run, and there we are, banana, cheese, ham. Some people do this, and I think this is the one that tends to get people. You see that, yeah, it looks a bit rubbish, doesn't it? But think about what that's doing. When we did this, we said among this string, we said around this string, join this and this and this together. With this, we're just saying, well, here's an empty string, join this, this, and this. So that just means like these go together with no gaps. So when we hit run this time, we should see this, this, and this joined together with nothing in between, just the empty string. And yeah, there we go. You could do this, and there we go, banana, and you could actually do spaces here. Make that look a little fancier, shall we? And hit run. And that's it, and that's join. It doesn't actually take anything else if I do join and open this here. It just takes an iterable. So just bear in mind, if I did something like this here, if you passed in a list containing integers, it's not going to like it. Just bear in mind that you have to pass in, some iterable of strings. Now you can tell that because of this bit here, literal string. So you could do a tuple of strings, and that would be fine. So if we did like xx, yy, tuple is still an iterable. It's a very valid iterable. And if I can type clear correctly and hit run, then that works as well. So just something to bear in mind, to make sure this is an iterable, make sure that iterable contains strings. You know, it can't contain some strings and something else that isn't a string. You're going to get the same issue here. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Of course, this is purely aimed at beginners, and hopefully this gives you a good insight as to how splitting and joining works in Python. Cheers for watching, guys, and of course, any more requests or things you want to see, especially in the kind of basics domain, I'm always happy to make videos and put them online if they help. Cheers, guys, and see you all in the next video.